narcissists are much worse than borderlines. If I had to choose whether I wanted to live with a borderline or a narcissist, I will choose a borderline every day of the week. Because with a borderline, you have the capacity to experience empathy because the borderline views you as an independent human being. A borderline understands that you are an individual. A narcissist does not. The narcissist does not think you exist. To a narcissist, you are an empty shell for them to project off of. These are two absolutely different disorders. I view these two disorders in a very, very different way. Yes, you do have people who are comorbid. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But what I'm talking about right now, it's about how to differentiate the two. And I think that there are some similarities, but how they come about, why they happen, even traits that appear to be the same, traits that borderlines and narcissists share. When you follow the methodology behind how you get to the conclusion, it is going to be a completely different path. And I'll just give you an example. A borderline, if they become triggered, it's based on fear of abandonment, of not being loved. That is very different than why a narcissist becomes triggered. And it's not a fear of not being loved. It's not genuine. It's about addiction. It's that they want a fix. They want your love and attention because they are getting stoned off of it. Understanding why a BPD does what they do when they are displaying toxic behaviors is important, because why they do what they do has nothing to do with what a narcissist does to get supply. With a narcissist, it is addiction. It's an addictive disorder. That's what narcissism is. They are addicted to people. They cannot survive without other human beings. When a narcissist is in isolation, they decompensate because they're in withdrawal from getting stoned off of narcissistic supply. That's why they want your love and attention. A borderline wants your love and attention because they didn't get that growing up. The attention and love that a borderline wants is genuine. How they go about getting it from people, acquiring love and attention, is often a very toxic route. It's often based on manipulation. But the underlying reason, when you follow the reasoning behind what they're doing, it's very different than a narcissist. Borderlines are triggered when they're being abused or when they are perceiving abuse happening to them. In my opinion, a borderline who is surrounded by narcissistic abusers is going to display a lot more toxic traits than a borderline who is in recovery, seeking psychiatric treatment or seeing a counselor, someone who is engaging in self-knowledge. BPD is created, it originates from narcissistic abuse. And the more severe the narcissistic abuse, the more severe the BPD traits. This idea that borderlines are very similar to narcissists, I personally disagree with this completely. I think that a narcissist is crazier than a borderline in general. And of course there is the spectrum with borderlines, with BPD. You have mild medium, and extra spicy hot and dangerous. And I think that depending on how much narcissistic abuse is going on in the borderline's life, that will determine where they are on the spectrum. Whereas with a narcissist, their psychosis, their delusions, their projections are there 24/7. They are always there, and it doesn't matter if a narcissist can be surrounded by incredibly kind, loyal, generous people, and it doesn't alter the narcissistic space, the narcissistic experience, let's say. Whereas with a borderline, I think that there is a lot more flexibility there with how your interaction will go down. And even with, if you have a borderline who has, let's say they have grown up in severe narcissistic surroundings and they are extremely sensitive to rejection or perceived rejection, perceived abandonment, and highly triggered. If you take that BPD and you put them in a very kind, nurturing environment, there's a higher probability of a neutral interaction, meaning that it's less likely that the borderline is going to attack someone who is being authentic and genuine. In contrast, if you take a narcissist and you put them in an environment with a lot of nurturing, kind people, it doesn't matter. It does not alter how the narcissist reacts to you, because with a narcissist, you don't exist. Other people don't exist. Everyone is an empty shell that they project off of. They already have the storyline of who you are in their head, and that's what they're seeing when they interact with you. And that's why I think narcissists are crazier than borderlines. And this is another point that I've made in past videos. Whenever you have someone who is mentally ill, meaning they are delusional practically all of the time, compared to, let's say, a borderline who has moments of being 100% grounded in reality. A borderline is absolutely capable of being grounded in reality and able to negotiate a relationship in the right environment. And I'm talking about someone who is on the road to self-knowledge in recovery. This is a completely different dynamic compared to trying to negotiate or interact with a narcissist. A narcissist will have moments of appearing to be grounded in reality. And the only reason they're showing you this reality, showing you that they are grounded in reality, it's because they think that they have to do that in that moment. They're putting on a show. They're acting. They're just telling you what you want to hear so that they can get whatever it is they want from you. Narcissists are hardcore addicts. They're addicted to supply. A borderline is not an addict. A borderline is someone who has been severely abused by usually narcissists, borderlines, in a situation where they are completely surrounded by narcissists and being pounded with narcissistic abuse 24/7. In my opinion, those are the borderlines who transition into psychotic rage and explode. And when they do that, that is when they massacre the narcissists in their life. And that is why I think borderlines are actually at the top of the food chain. If anyone is going to destroy a narcissist and bring a narcissist down, it is going to be a borderline that they pissed off. I think that a severely abused borderline is much more dangerous than even a sociopath or a narcissist, because the borderline is motivated by pure intensified emotion. Not all of the time and not every borderline, but that is the recipe for a major explosion. And I think that when a borderline is pushed to the limit and crosses over into psychotic rage, they will clean the room with the narcissist's ass. Absolutely. And if I needed to hire a bodyguard to protect myself from a sociopath or a narcissist, I would hire a borderline, a badass borderline to protect me. So that's it for today. As always, stay strong and get toxic people out of your life. Bye.